Hi, this is the Daily Spark question. It is day 88, and the question is, where do I mistake description for explanation? Where do I mistake description for explanation? The immediate thing that came up for me, whether it's totally related or not, is like so much in my conversations with people, I feel like I'm so curious about so many things that I just get so excited, and then I'm like, ooh, and this is connected to that. Like, I'm a dot connector and a meaning maker, and it's just so fun for me. And I don't hold anything as like fact. It's more like, ooh, what if thinking and curiosities, and oh, I can see how these things are connected, and I can see how that's true, and that's true, and that's true. Isn't that fascinating? So that's kind of like the energy behind a lot of what I bring to a conversation, is more like, ooh, yeah, everything's awesome and true, and isn't that great? And I find that it doesn't work so well in our. I was reflecting on this morning about how lonely it is, how lonely it is to be that way. I'm finding other people that are that way, but a lot of people that I run into, I can't like let myself go there into that style of conversation. Like, yeah, tell me more. And isn't that cool about how this over here is connected to what you're saying and how true that is? It's not like I'm using those words, but that's kind of the vibe of how my mind works in conversation with people. If it's just open-ended conversation and not something about like something challenging they're going through, then I'm not like, ooh, obviously I pick the moments, but it makes me think of how like I might be, in my way of doing that, I might be like describing things, versus like explaining a reason, that I believe that that's true, or that I have such an identity with it. And I might be mixing those words up. I might be doing more explanation than description, but something felt to me like that's where it took me, because I think a lot of people that I don't communicate with so well, even though I try, or what I see reflected back at me is like people trying to like ground in, or like trying to understand what I'm saying in the context of what I believe and what I hold as fact, and like that I have a particular point of view I'm trying to get across that's based in a belief system, and like, this is what I take to be as fact, and this is what I believe, and this is true, and I negate anything that doesn't agree with it. That's what I feel reflected back to me. And that is not, it's not even the way I think. It's not the way I communicate. And so then I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. You misunderstood. Like, no harm is done, but I feel like they're trying to pin me down. And I say that a lot, don't I? Like, by like, what I mean by that is they're trying to make sense of what I'm saying in the realm of like, oh, there's a particular point of view I have to align with. It's not open-ended. It's not free thinking. It's not, ooh, what if, blue sky thinking. It's like, we are humans. We have to identify strongly with a viewpoint and based in a belief system, and negate everything else. So I'm trying to figure out where you align, so I can see how I feel about what you're saying. All of that is the subtext of a lot of conversation, at least around here where I live. And it's like, no, you misunderstand me. And it's not just here, I see it on social media too. And sometimes it's like going into the comments thread on social media with your bowl of popcorn, and you see that there's sometimes kind of a person like me, and sometimes a kind of a person like who I'm describing, going back and forth, not seeing eye to eye, trying to like explain what, like a whole bunch of thread just trying to explain the original intention and understanding of the original conversation. So it's like, it's mind exhausting. And it's like, I just want more people who are open to be like, ooh, what it, yeah, cool, man. What, like, yeah, see how all these things are connected? Versus like the yesterday's question or one of the recent questions of like categorizing things. And so that's what I mean by describing maybe, and explaining is like describing things to me is like, I wonder the difference now. I'm trying to think of like the difference between describing and explaining. Because explaining means I'm explaining a reason for something, like a causality. Well, that's been coming up a lot in these questions, so that's probably what it's driving at. Whereas describing feels more open-ended, like when you read a piece of fiction or something and they're describing the landscape without you trying to take an opinion on it. It's just like noticing, right? I'm just noticing. I have no stake in this game. I have no, what do you call it? Skin in this game. I don't know. Another sports phrase, I guess. I have no like viewpoint. So it's like, I'm just describing things. That's how what I feel like I bring into conversation a lot of the time. And it's not comfortable for a lot of people. It's not their style. Just like their style isn't my style. Neither one is better or worse. It's just we're not connecting in the words. And then there's explanation, which is like, it's fun to make meaning, like, ooh, I bet this contributed to that. There's a dot connection there. Ooh, I like that. So I might confuse the two sometimes in a conversation where people might think, oh, she's trying to say, like, explain a reason for things. And usually when you make reasoning, it's to frame it in something so your brain can understand it, because your brain may be based in some belief system, like a particular point of view based in a belief system. And so there's this like, well, people trying to figure out what I believe. I'm like, it's not based on belief. It's like based in like, ooh, that could be true too. Let's connect some dots. So there's description, like describing things, which is oftentimes I feel like, you know, it's just noticing, interesting. Isn't that cool how this does that? And then explaining, I'm like, and maybe it's because of this. And usually it's like, maybe kind of, ooh, what if? And like, oh, I bet that's, you know, like, oh yeah. Sometimes I'll say something like, oh yeah, I bet that's how, but I don't believe it. And I know in the next moment, I'll find a different piece of information to prove that wrong. And I don't think a lot of people where I just have like, who haven't known me a long time, don't understand that's how my mind works. Like, if we talk again, I know I just met you, and if we talked again tomorrow, you'd see me have the opposite angle on the same thing. So stick around, honey. You know, it's like, no, it's like we just try to like make sense of each other. Like, what do they believe? So I know, is this a person I even want to have another conversation with? You know, we do that. It's like, you know, is this somebody I'm interested in like interacting with again, forming a deep bond? So it makes sense that our brains do this. So I don't know if I really answered this, but that's where this question took me, is because I oftentimes feel that like does not compute, you know, between me and another person when I'm in that mode of like, yeah, what if? So that's why I even practice with my husband. He's patient and he'll go along with me for a while, and then I'm like, have we hit the capacity on this? Like, have we, you know, just am I too much right now? And he's like, so usually I can sense when I've overloaded something in his interest. Like, he gets not interested in stuff I'm interested in. So, but he's patient and open enough to like let me go, ooh, in his ear. And then I'm like, okay, I've overloaded his circuits. I will go like talk to YouTube now. Honestly, that's why I had to create this channel. So I'm trying to find my people. I keep making videos where this comes up. So it must be something that I'm really desiring, is to like find the people who can have a conversation in what if land, and not from an egocentric, and I say that as in like identity structuring, like I have to believe deeply and have firm opinions. That's where it's based in, like people trying to figure out what my opinions are. I'm like, listen, honey, if you can find an opinion in me, please help me, because sometimes I want opinions and I just can't find them. I just don't have opinions. Never have. And sometimes I have, like last night when I watched that documentary, which I did some voice journalings. I'll probably post this first to YouTube before I have a chance to post my morning ramblings, if I even post them. But I was talking about how I watched a documentary last night, and it definitely sparked something old in me. Like it basically got triggered and a big, huge emotional release. And so you might think, oh, there's some opinion based in that. But what it, to me, what it more feels like is like I have these biases that I'm working so hard to dismantle. And so I don't hold these things as opinions. I hold them as skewed points of view that I don't truly believe in, but that come up through old trauma and conditioning in the way of like deep biases that I'm like, fucking hell, man, let's get rid of this already. It's not doing me any favors anymore. So, and sometimes even when I talk with other people, I try to discern like opinion that's like balanced and grounded and well informed and regulated in their system. It's not a triggering, but it's like a regulated, grounded point of view. I try to discern like, oh yeah, that's something I want to lend an ear to, like that's really informed, and grounded, versus like, I just got a rant about this, blah. Like sometimes I think we mistake opinion in that way, and we take like some people who are heavily, and that's why I think I've historically shied away from heavily opinionated people, because I could feel it, that it's based in some sort of like dysfunctional energy rooted in trauma and old conditioning that did not serve this person well. And that's not a judgment. That's like, hey, sister or brother, I see you. Been there, done that. Still recovering, So that's also where this took me, in the ways that like describing things and explaining things. And I don't know if I mistake the two so much, because I'm still like, why is that important? But where it takes me is like discernment and what if open-ended like expansive conversation versus contracted narrowing of viewpoints out of like judgment, which is all in the name again of safety and feeling safe with a person. And so I'm trying to understand where they're coming from, and if they hold some beliefs that do not align with me, and therefore I'm like, okay, carry on, you go your way, I'll go mine. We don't, so that's kind of where it takes me. What about you? I think I should be done now. I'm gonna meditate. Bye.